Yo, what's good, everybody? Once again, we reached infinite this season, thankfully, and today I have the 5 decks that took me to infinite. I'm gonna go over them briefly and explain. Some of them I have videos on that you could get way more detailed looks at, and if I don't have any YouTube videos on them, let me know in the comment section below if you want to see a more detailed look at these decks. But before I get into the decks, let me just tell you that I'm going to be at Kawatech, Super Tech God, and Loot Munchers Creators Clash tomorrow, February 18th. It is the first in-person Marvel Snap tournament, and I am super excited to be a part of it. A lot of your favorite creators and streamers are going to be a part of it, and I'm just honored that I got the invite. Make sure you tune into that. I'll have more details and more information in the description below. The first deck that I want to talk about is this Deathwave deck below. It's a little different than a normal Deathwave deck. I mostly wanted to capitalize on the fact that Wolverine got a buff, and I really wanted to see if I could do some things with Arnim Zola, but it's your typical Deathwave deck. We've seen a resurgence of Deathwave joining the meta and helping people rank up on the ladder as a result of the nerfs to Zabu and Silver Surfer. You got your typical cards, the Hood, Bucky Barnes, you're going to destroy them with Carnage. You got Wolverine that you're going to destroy a couple times. He's going to double up in power. He never really becomes a superstar in the deck, but he does do a good job of getting a good 4 to 8 extra power out there when you otherwise wouldn't have had it. You want to use Wave on turn 5 so that you could play She-Hulk Death and maybe Arnim Zola to cut that Death and copy it across the board, or maybe cut She-Hulk or your Big Venom. You also can use Taskmaster instead of Arnim Zola to copy that card. Another deck that I used was this discard MODOK Hela deck, and I made a full-fledged video on this, so I'm not going to get too deep into it, but there's basically 2 different main ways that you're trying to win, and that's going to be using Dracula on 4, MODOK on 5 to help build up your apocalypse and create more swarms. Then hopefully you're going to drop some swarms into the Lockjaw lane and do some more damage before Dracula cuts apocalypse and becomes a 20 power, 24 power card. Or you can kind of take a standard Hela route. We don't have Invisible Woman in here because Invisible Woman is kind of bait for Cosmo or for Arrow and for ruining your plans. If you just treat it like a regular discard deck and hope that Lockjaw pulls out Hela, or just hope that you have Hela on the end and you can go ahead and play her, then that's great. But Hela is not the main win condition. Hela is kind of a massive win on the end where you were probably gonna already win with Dracula and Apocalypse. The third deck that I was using is this Powerbomb kind of variant where we're gonna use Shuri and bring out big time cards on turn 5, and then we're gonna go ahead and either copy that with Taskmaster or Arnim Zola that big card across the board, and we're gonna end up winning 2 lanes. This deck really works out well. I'm sure a ton of you have seen a lot of different versions of Shuri. This was the particular version that I was using for this season. I've used multiple other versions in past seasons, and I'm going to be using a version for the Creators Clash tournament that's on Saturday. Don't forget to go watch that stream on Kawatech's Twitch. This is the version down below that I'm going to be using for that tournament. It's a little bit different, but if you have these cards, you can put this deck together, because I can guarantee you pretty much any combo of Shuri, Black Panther, Red Skull, and then Zola or Taskmaster on the last 3 turns, you're gonna win like a large percentage of your games. And the 4th deck that I was using to climb the ladder and get to infinite is actually this deck that wasn't created by me. It was created by Specimen, who is an amazing deck creator. He is an absolutely incredible content creator, streamer, YouTuber. He's also going to be at that Creators Clash on Saturday. He made this deck below, and the entire goal of the deck is just to kind of clog up your opponent's board, control the action and know exactly what you're going to do in order to just win locations and kind of screw your opponent over. And one of the biggest plays is taking that Ebony Maw and vipering it over to your opponent's board on turn 3, making sure that they can't play any cards in that particular location. You're going to be able to see what your opponent is going to do on turn 5 because of Daredevil. So then you drop Spider-Man in another location and you block that off from your opponent playing. Then you can drop Killmonger there on the 6th turn, destroy their Ebony Maw, which will give you the win at that original location without actually having to play extra cards there to try to beat the 7 power of Ebony Maw. It may also destroy your opponent's Sunspot and take over more power from them while simultaneously winning the other location because of Spider-Man and they can't play anything in there. There are a ton of different win conditions in this deck where you're just throwing debris around, you're throwing Green Goblin in there, you're using Titania to block them from playing a 4th card on an already clogged location, so you know that you can win that one by just dropping a card on the 6th turn and taking Titania back. It is very, very simple and very, very effective and just a ton of fun to play, and it's just frustrating for opponents. I'll leave a link to Specimen's video about this deck because he does an amazing job explaining it and he does an amazing job showing off gameplay, so definitely go check that out. And the final deck that helped me reach infinite is this one down below. It is a Thanos ongoing deck. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this is the deck I use the absolute most, and Thanos is one of the best purchases that I possibly made for the collector's tokens. It is just a ton of fun. Most of my games were with this deck and most of them were very successful and all of them were very fun regardless of a win or loss. I have been loving Thanos and I've been loving the ongoing variant of this deck. I have a full detailed video about this deck and how I make it work, so I will link that at the end of the video. But just know that if you're gonna play Thanos, I am kind of convinced that ongoing is the way to go. There's so many different ways to win and the cards really just help each other. Kazar, Blue Marvel boost up all those stones. Spectrum getting set off pumps up the entire board basically. Devil Dino, we all know how powerful he is. You're not really focused on Thanos so much. It's those stones that are the real breadwinners in this deck. So those are the decks that took me to infinite this season, and it was a ton of fun to use all of them. I'm gonna be using that Thanos ongoing deck in the Creators Clash that's on Saturday. I know I mentioned that a bunch of times, but I really think it's important. It is going to be the first in-person Marvel Snap tournament and it is going to be so much fun. You don't want to miss it. Kawatech, Loot Muncher, Super Tech God put together an amazing event for both the creators and the viewers, so make sure you tune into that. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. I hope you have yourself a wonderful weekend.